It's me, Vicky Marie. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in this crazy world we're living in. So, I hope this morning or this afternoon or this evening you're feeling good, things are going well for you. Um, just sending out my love to you all. So, here we are. We're going to look at the next day of these mushroom murders, or alleged mushroom murders, the mushroom trial. Of course, everyone's innocent until proven guilty. We don't actually know if they were murders yet, I suppose, but that's what everybody's calling it. And it is a murder trial at the end of the day. Erin might be innocent till proven guilty, but she has been charged with murder. So it is a trial, a mushroom murder trial. Very, very brief recap, because I imagine most of you know exactly what it is about by now. A lady, Erin Patterson, let me put a picture of her up, who allegedly invited her estranged in-laws round to lunch for beef Wellington and laced the beef Wellingtons with these death cap mushrooms, which brought about the agonizing death of three of her estranged, three relatives of her estranged husband. And one person, the guy on the right here with the blue shirt on, Ian, he survived. But the other three, unfortunately, died. And that was her estranged husband's mum and dad, over there on the left, and also then her estranged husband's mum's sister, Gail. The parents were Don and Gail, and the sister was called Heather. These three people, so this is Heather here, this is Gail, and this is, I've just seen the name, gosh, my memory's terrible, Don. That's it, Don. So the parents of her estranged husband, Don and Gail Patterson's sister, Heather Wilkinson, died, but Heather's husband, Ian, he survived. So did she do it? So it seems unmistakable that these people, the three people, died of ingesting death cap mushrooms. And but the real crux of this trial is, did Erin Patterson deliberately put the death cap mushrooms into the beef Wellingtons, or was it a tragic accident, as she claims? So I seem to have got mixed up with the days of it. We're actually, apparently, these details I'm going to give you a day 4 of the trial, and I'm going to read out to you the details from the Guardian newspaper, because this trial is not televised, so we can't watch it, but the media are allowed in, and they're allowed to freely report on whatever comes up in the trial. So we can talk about it, we can discuss the evidence that's coming out, as is reported by the media, that's allowed actually in the courtroom. But we cannot see, unfortunately, it's not televised. So we can't see it firsthand for ourselves. We have to read about it. But anyway, that's better than nothing. At least it's not all completely secret and not allowed to talk about anything that comes up in the trial. So first of all, I just want to say thank you to you all. Thank you for watching. Thank you for liking. Thank you for subscribing. And I just want to say, recently, a couple of people have bought Ko-fi's, PayPal me, and they've been really, thank you so much, because, anyway, without going into it too much, if you remember, you'll know it. This week hasn't been the best week. So that's been really nice. Thank you. And also, thank you to my members. We had a lovely members live last night. We had a good old chat. And thank you for being members. It was great. What else have I got? Oh, thank you to people who send emails, etc. I do work through my emails. If I don't answer you straight away, I'm sorry about that, but I've got quite a lot of emails at the moment and there's just been a lot going on, but I am working through them. So thank you. Thank you for any nice message you leave me, any positivity you bring to my channel. Thank you so much. It really does mean a lot. I don't think, I know I say it quite a lot, but it means sort of more than you know. So, hello lurkers. Hello replay crew. Hello to all of you that are watching. And now in a minute, I'm going to go into the chat and say hello to those of you who are brave enough to come into the chat. Don't be scared of coming into the chat. You can give your opinions, whatever you think, whether you think Erin might be guilty, whether you think she might be innocent. We're just here to talk about, discuss this trial. We're not the jury. The jury have to make the official decisions. That doesn't mean to say we can't have an opinion on what we think. It's not doing anyone any harm. It's just a chat between ourselves. We're not affecting the trial. And yeah, let me know what you think. Nobody will, just don't attack other people's opinions. If you don't agree with someone's opinion, just scroll down, scroll past it. You don't have to react to everything everybody says. That's something I've learned, because you do sometimes want to. We're all human, and sometimes you see it and you think, oh, God, why are they saying that? Don't attack people. Our chat is always nice, friendly. Our community, the community of Vicky Marie chats, I'm very proud of it. It's very nice. Thank you for that as well. Okay, let's see who's here. Hi, Angel. Hi, Bluebell. Oh, thank you, Angel. Thank you. Yeah, it's my favourite colour is pink, to be honest. Well, it's like a salmony pink, this, isn't it? But it's probably my favourite colour. Hi, Maria. Yeah, that's interesting, Bluebell, actually, isn't it? Because the death cap mushrooms take so long to take effect. So they were alive, these poor people that died a very slow, agonizing death. But they have been able to give their testimony, haven't they? Because they did not die instantly. They could, there's a lot of information that will come out in the trial about what they said. Normally if somebody's murdered, they don't really get a voice, do they, in the trial, because it's probably happened very quickly. And they can't recount how it came about. But yeah, it's different in this trial because it's different in this trial because the victims, they can be heard because they were alive for a substantial amount of time before they died. So that there is testimony from them. It's quite odd, isn't it? Oh, thank you, Bluebell. Thank you, Bluebell, for the Ko-fi. Actually, I've got a Ko-fi here, a real Ko-fi. So thank you. That's really appreciated. Thank you so much. Very kind. Yeah. So, of course, Bluebell is in Australia. Maria, you're in Australia as well, aren't you? I think. Are you in Australia as well? You're in that part of the world, aren't you? Angel's in the UK, I believe. So, yeah, a few people from all over there. So, yeah, I was thinking about this case. It has attracted attention all over the world. So everybody's talking about it. Yes, Australia, Maria, I thought you were. Everybody's talking about it in the UK, in Spain, in every country. We never really hear news from China and things like that. I wonder if they're talking about in China. Would there be a YouTuber somewhere in China saying, oh, the latest on the mushroom trial, but obviously saying it in Chinese? That'd be interesting. But I do think this case, it's because it's so strange and so unusual that it's attracted so much attention. And that can be a bad thing when trials, of course, for someone to get a fair trial, it can be a bad thing. But the jury were vetted, the jury are locked in, so the jury are not allowed, it's a secret jury, if you like, or they're not allowed, they're not going home and chatting about it to the family. They're just being presented by the evidence, with the evidence. So yeah, it's poisoning, of course, it is quite a common form of murder. Maybe one day it'd be worth a look at how, but it tends to be women who use poison. When you look at sort of murder statistics, it's unusual. The most common ways that women murder are poison or a car, using a car. That's reminds me of Karen Reid. The Karen Reid retrial that I haven't really covered much, to be honest, but I have covered it. Did she drive her car into a boyfriend, John O'Keefe? Did she drive it into him deliberately? Or was it, like she says, an accident? I mean, the thing is, you're always going to say it's an accident, isn't it? That's the first thing your defense lawyer is going to say to you. You always tell them, you always plead not guilty in the beginning. It's unusual to plead guilty from the outset unless the evidence is so overwhelming. But if there's any chance whatsoever of you getting off, then your defense lawyer will always advise you to plead not guilty firstly. Hi, Admit. Good morning. So let's have a look. What happened? What happened? What happened? What happened? So, what happened? Always press the wrong button. Okay. So, I found... No, this isn't what I want to share. This is not what I want to share. God. I found The Guardian very helpful. The Guardian's been very good having like a live blog on there, The Guardian newspaper, which is a British newspaper. So we're going to go down to the bottom, and they started off, let's see. So, of course, a big thing is like, what is the motive? Although it's not necessarily, you don't need to have a motive to prove murder, but it helps. Juries like to hear a motive. They like to know why somebody would do something, Now, very kindly, as well on the Guardian, I'm going Spanish there, they gave a recap of day 3 before they started with day 4. So let's have a look at that. Before today gets underway, here's a recap of what the jury heard yesterday. So they heard text. Now I did do a video, I'll be doing hopefully a video every day that there is proceedings to just recap. Oh, that was the other thing that did occur to me. So we're only on day 4, but 4 to 6 weeks have been put aside for this trial. So, it makes you wonder what evidence is going to come out. We've only done 4 days. So there's still, maybe 3-4 weeks of evidence to come. So what could it be? I just feel like somewhere along the line, some bombshell thing is going to come out. But anyway, so text message. So this was day 3 recap. Text messages shown to the court on Thursday revealed that Erin had texted Simon on the eve of the mushroom lunch, saying she had spent a small fortune on buying high-fillet steak for her special meal of beef Wellingtons. And she said she hoped Simon would change his mind after he turned down the invitation. So, yes, she was a bit irritated that her husband, Simon, he had decided he wasn't going to go to this lunch. Thank God for him. Anyway, he also recalled that Erin had said she had conducted a blind taste test with her daughter by putting dehydrated mushrooms in muffins. He told the court that Erin remarked it was interesting that their child preferred the muffin that contained mushrooms, as actually she didn't like mushrooms. Jurors also heard details about Erin's relationship with Simon's parents. He told the court Erin was particularly close with his father, Don. And asked about Erin's self-esteem, Simon said his estranged wife was not particularly happy with how she is. I don't think she has high self-esteem, he told the court. And he also recalled Erin's mixed plate collection at her home in Leongatha. Under cross-examination, he described her collection, saying there were some plates that matched and a single colourful plate. So this was made a lot of, wasn't it? That the plate that Erin served herself, her own beef Wellington on, was a different colour to the others. But you know, I don't know about you. I mean, I can sort of see that. Do you have your favourite plate at home? I do. I have a plate that I always use, you know, that I like. And I like the fact that nobody else uses it. You know, not it's only me and my son, but, you know, I don't think it's that unusual for someone to have their own plate. But having said that, you know, it's just a bit of information, isn't it? Now, I think they should probably have asked, maybe it would have been useful to ask, did she always use that plate? You know, was that like her plate, or had she just used it that day for the beef Wellington? Or would that have been a particular plate that she would have always used, different from the others, you know? Let's see, what else? There was something else that came out yesterday. Oh, the other thing that's come out that's significant is there are no money problems. You know, she inherited, well, I said there are no money problems, but Erin inherited 2 million Australian dollars from her grandmother. So it seems like she was financially okay, you know, and apparently he admitted, her estranged husband admitted, she was generous with that money. She helped people out. She bought the house he's living in, you know, things like that. But then the problems started when the problem started when there was arguments about the titles of the houses. So it seems like she was generous with her money, but the problems or the arguments started when they had some disputes about what title they were in. So maybe that's sort of a motive. I don't know. Oh, thank you, Maria. Thank you so much. Oh, you're spoiling me today. Thank you. Thank you. You're also lovely. You're spoiling me today. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. I should really have something that I can play. I haven't managed to do this thing where you sort of can have like bells going off or something like that. I wonder if I can do that. What have I got? Something. I should have a big mushroom coming up. When is this? Oh no, I haven't really got any. Oh, I'm going to work on that. I'm going to get some buttons done so that when someone buys a Ko-fi or whatever, I can mark it. But anyway, thank you so much. Really, really appreciated. Maria, thank you. Right. So yeah, so it seems that money wasn't an issue anyway, but something about the titles of the houses, you know, that, oh, thank you, I admit. Maybe, yeah, some argument about the titles, maybe, eh? If she's guilty. So we always have to keep coming round to this. At the end of the day, it's still not been proven. She's not been found guilty. So, yeah, I'm not sure what her husband does, to be honest. I literally am not sure what her husband does. Does anyone know? Anyway, I can have a look at that in a minute. I'll just carry on with this. In fact, I might have a look now. Yeah, let's have a look now. We're not in any rush. Oh, I've got a lovely day today. I don't have to drive anywhere or do anything. It's all gone, anyway, I'll explain about that another time. But so what does Simon Patterson do? So nice to have time. So I've got a couple of lives planned today. Or a major Simon Patterson. Of course, it's coming up with another Simon Patterson. Hang on. Let's see if it'll come up. Yeah, it's not coming up with his. I can't see his. I can't see what he does. Anyway. Okay. So yeah, that was another thing, wasn't it, that we learned. That financially she didn't have any problems, but there were these disputes about the titles on some of the properties she'd bought. And she's certainly been generous to him, and Simon admitted she was generous to him, she was generous to his family with her money. So when did the bitterness come? Because whether she killed them or not, bitterness did come, because we're going to hear about that now. So this is Colin Mandy. And I think he is her lawyer, isn't he? Yeah, this is Erin Patterson's lawyer, Colin Mandy, and he's cross-examining Simon Patterson, Erin Patterson's estranged husband. So he begins by asking Simon about the relationship between his parents and children. He shows the courtroom a video showing Simon's son and his father, Don, playing with a rocket-propelled car in the backyard. Mandy says it was captured on the 17th of July, 2023, weeks before the fateful mushroom lunch. And as he's shown the video, Simon wipes tears from his eyes. Now, it does seem like every time Simon, particularly when he discusses his father, he gets very emotional. So they must have had a close relationship. You can see, obviously he's lost both his parents. He's lost his mother and father. But I have noticed that he seems to get more emotional about his dad. But, they obviously had a good relationship. So then Mandy turns to Erin, inviting Simon to the mushroom lunch, which was held on the 29th of July 2023. Mandy points to Simon's evidence yesterday that Erin had informed him she had important and serious medical issues to share when she invited him to lunch. Let me put this to you. Erin did not say the words important or serious when she spoke to you that day, Mandy says. But Simon replies that he cannot remember the exact words she said, but that important and serious are reasonable descriptions of what she communicated. And then Mr. Mandy suggests that the words important and serious were not used in his police statement, and Simon does not refute this. So, yeah, you probably can't remember the exact words that he said. There's a court drawing of Erin. Of course, no photos can be taken. So then Simon went on to say that Erin struggled a lot with mental illness. Mandy said, I'm going to have to start calling him Mr. Mandy, because when I say Mandy, I straight away think of a woman. So, Mr. Mandy, he's the lawyer, don't forget, that's cross-examined. Hi, Yvonne. It's not easy, Maria, is it, to find out? You think it'd be just simple, but it's not. So Mr. Mandy says Simon did not contact Erin after the lunch to inquire about the medical issue she had mentioned. And he added, "Is it not the case over the years that Erin often complained about medical issues and thought she was unwell for various reasons?" Mr. Mandy asks. And Simon says yes. Now, the thing is, yeah, maybe she was a bit of a hypochondriac. Maybe she liked a bit of attention. Some people are like that, aren't they? It's normally men. Sorry. It's not. You know about man flu and things like that, and it's funny, isn't it? Because I often think, because some people are so dramatic about their ailments, some people are very stoic about their ailments, and I often wonder, do we feel pain the same? Because some people seem to, maybe some people do feel it more than others, and that's why they're more dramatic about it. Maybe some people have just got that personality where or maybe they've built up a threshold to pain. I always think that women can put up with pain more just because of their monthly cycle, which is really painful, isn't it? Especially when you're young. I think it gets a bit better as you get older, or I don't know. And then, of course, in the end, it disappears completely, which is even better. But I think when you're young, it's very painful, the monthly cycle. It really is. And maybe women build up a better threshold of pain because of that. Do you think that's possible? But of course, Erin's a woman and she's complaining about being unwell for various reasons, apparently. So Mr. Mandy suggests that these were unsubstantial. Simon says that Erin told him she struggled with a heart condition which affected her sleeping. And he says, "I have no reason to disbelieve that." And Simon says this required hospitalization at times. Now, the thing is, these sort of things are easy to prove, aren't they? Because it'll be in her medical records. She struggled a lot with mental illness, postnatal depression. I believe that was real, he says. And Mr. Mandy says that in October 2021, Erin expressed concern about having ovarian cancer. But Simon said, "Erin has never told me she had ovarian cancer." The thing is, if you get some sort of pains and things like that, you could think possibly, you had it, but then you're supposed to go to the doctor then and get it checked out, aren't you? But anyway, so here's the family tree, just to show you. So Don and Gail, Simon's father and mother, they're deceased. They were married. And then Gail's sister was Heather. She's deceased, Simon's aunt. And Ian survived, her husband. He survived, but he was very, very ill. And then we've got Simon Patterson, Erin Patterson, and 2 children who obviously are not being named. And so out of this family tree, 3 of them are deceased due to death cap mushrooms. I don't think there's any controversy that they did die of mushroom poisoning. As I say, the point is, or the issue is, was it deliberate or not? That is really the only issue here, isn't it? Did she do it on purpose, or was it a tragic accident? That's what the prosecution have to prove, that it wasn't a tragic accident. So Simon Patterson says he didn't ask his father lots of questions about what he remembered about the lunch. Then Mr. Mandy questioned Simon about a conversation he had with his father, Don, on the 30th of July, when he was hospitalized after the mushroom lunch. And Mr. Mandy says at this point, Don had been distressed physically for a long period of time. You couldn't and didn't ask him lots of questions about what he remembered from the lunch, Mr. Mandy says. That's correct, Simon replies. And Mandy puts to Simon that Don told him about Erin's potential cancer diagnosis rather than a certainty. So she wasn't saying that she definitely had cancer. She was saying she was concerned. And Simon says his understanding was that Don said Erin had been diagnosed with cancer. that wasn't in doubt. How to treat it is where the uncertainty was. So Mandy reiterates that Don told Simon about Erin's suspected diagnosis rather than a confirmed diagnosis, and Simon disagrees and says this is highly unlikely. So of course, the thing is, if Erin did say she had cancer, because she didn't have cancer, so that establishes that she can tell lies, doesn't it? And big lies. I mean, that's a big lie, isn't it? It's a huge lie to tell someone you've got cancer or you've been diagnosed with cancer, but you haven't. You know, that is an awful lie, really, when you think about it. So what Mr. Mandy is trying to do is say, no, she never said she'd definitely been diagnosed with cancer, because he's trying to sort of dispel that thought in the jurors' minds that Erin might be a liar, a proven liar. So Simon stuck to his guns and he said no. You know, he was, his impression that he was given from his dad was that she had been diagnosed with cancer. Not it was potentially cancer, but that she said she had. So that establishes her as a liar, doesn't it? If that's true. If that's true, anyway. Hi, Heather. I like some mushrooms, Heather, and some mushrooms I don't like. Anyway, so Simon Patterson agrees that Erin hates hospitals. So Simon is being questioned about Erin's actions at Leongatha Hospital after the mushroom lunch. You know, I just want to smile every time I say mushrooms, and I don't know why, because it's not funny, is it? But yeah, I would say that before this case, mushrooms were probably my favourite food. I really do like mushrooms, but after this and the subject of Stefan Stearns and his button mushroom, it's like I've gone right off mushrooms. I'm not, you know, you would. There was a time now would always been of mushrooms in my fridge. Now, you know, not so much. Because the thing is, when you always associate them like with either Stefan Stearns or bloody murder like this, it's hard to feel the same way about them. So Simon is being questioned about Erin's actions at Leongatha Hospital after the mushroom lunch, and under cross-examination by Mandy, he agrees that Erin hates hospitals when he is asked about her leaving the hospital against medical advice. Now, again, I do understand that. I hate hospitals too. Unless I was literally dying, I wouldn't be, you know, I would discharge myself as soon as possible. I'm, you know, terrible for that, really. I'm, you know, I do go for medical advice when I think I need it. But unfortunately, my threshold, it's like, you know, but practically got to be dying before I go to the doctor. And I'm not saying that's right. I'm just saying that's how I am. Whereas, you know, some people go to the doctor over every little thing and other people are just normal in the middle. You know, I know that I'm too extreme of not going to the doctor. So, you know, I can't, you know, I can't throw stones at Erin for that. If she discharged herself, she probably felt really uncomfortable in the hospital. You know, I used to be terrible. The only thing that's cured me sort of a little bit is because since I've been an interpreter here in Spain, I've been in so many hospitals now with so many clients, you know, to interpret, to translate into English. I got used to it in the end. You know, I've got used to going into hospitals now. And I've been in hospitals for my own things or for my son's things, etc. But the most time that I've been in hospitals here in Spain, I've been to interpret for people. I feel like a doctor sometimes. I think, you know, I've learned so much about medical procedures, illnesses, diagnosis. I feel like a doctor sometimes. But so yeah, Erin doesn't like hospitals. That's fair enough. If she left the hospital against medical advice, But I think probably what the prosecution will be trying to say, that she discharged herself because she knew there was nothing wrong with her. And now Mr. Mandy will be trying to prove there was a different reason why she just left the hospital, not because she knew she wasn't ill, because she knew she hadn't had the mushrooms, but because she was scared of hospitals or uneasy. So Mr. Mandy also tells Simon there was some sensitivity about the need for their children to attend the hospital. And Simon agrees, saying his two children both had past experiences with hospitals which were difficult. Now that's strange, isn't it? So I wonder what bad experiences they had. Anyway, this is his mum and dad, Don and Gail, now unfortunately deceased. So then Simon went on to tell the court that in fact Erin's relationship with her in-laws was tense, and jurors have been shown messages between Simon and Erin between the 14th and 15th of October 2022, exchanged on the app Signal. Simon says there was a lot of tension in his relationship with Erin at this point. He says her relationship with his parents was also tense. In the messages shown to the courtroom, Erin says she is very, very hurt. She was not invited to Simon's mother's 70th birthday. And Simon says this was due to a misunderstanding with his father, Don. Now, these are things that can be motives. You know, when you're looking for motives for red rum, it's like, it doesn't have to be a great big motive. I mean, the most typical motives, of course, are money, follow the money, isn't it? Or sex, really. That you know, jealousy. I think also children, like the child custody is a big thing as well, isn't it? They're the most common things. But you know, sometimes the reason for murder is the most ridiculous reason. Like, could be a small thing, like not being invited to a birthday party, or someone changing their status on Facebook, you know, their relationship status, or just a throwaway comment that you didn't even realize had annoyed somebody. So it doesn't always have to be a big motive. Sometimes that little thing like the not being invited to the birthday party can be the culmination, can't it, of a lot of other things. And it might not be that just that one reason that people do something dramatic, but it's just like the tip of the iceberg, isn't it? Or the icing on the cake, or it's like there's maybe a lot of little things, and then this last one thing just tips a person over the edge. And of course, it depends on people's mental health, etc. And it's there's a lot to think about with you never know, do you? Because something that would, like, if somebody didn't invite me to their 70th birthday like that, I'd just think, oh, okay, then I'd probably be relieved I wasn't going and having to talk to all those people. And, but then you can never because we don't all react to things the same, do we? We all react to things differently. And then somebody else would be absolutely gutted that they had not been invited to that 70th birthday party. So you can never assure that you can never be sure that it's not. You can never sort of think, oh, that couldn't possibly be the reason. It could easily be the reason, couldn't it? So anyway, just making sure I don't think I've missed anyone coming in. So I can see you're all enjoying yourself there in chatting about it. I mean, there's a lot to talk about in this case. It's a very interesting case. I mean, it's a sad case. They're all sad. All the cases we talk about are sad. But this one is intriguing on so many levels, isn't it? Just the way of somebody, if she did do it, allegedly, the way she did it is really unusual, very unusual. And, it comes to me, like we said before, it comes down to the fact that if she did do it, she actually sat there, had dinner with them, and watch them eat that, knowing what was going to happen. That is like that's special, isn't it? It's bad enough if you just shoot someone in a rage, or a passionate crime, or whatever. They're all bad enough, but to actually sit there and watch someone eating, have a dinner party with them, it must have been at least 2 hours they were all sat there talking, I would imagine, at least an hour anyway, all sat together. Invite them in, watch them eat it, make small talk, tell them that you've got cancer, do all that at the same time, knowing what you're feeding them is really quite horrific, isn't it? So they, in all the messages shown to the courtroom, Erin says she's very, very hurt. She was not invited to Simon's mother's 70th birthday. Simon says this was due to misunderstanding with his father, Don. So in a message to Erin on the 14th of October, Simon says, "Hey, are you coming to Mum's birthday lunch?" And Erin says she's not aware of it, to which Simon replies he thought his father had invited her, but he says his father may have gotten mixed up. Now, of course, there's always a chance that could have been deliberate, deliberately, not inviting her, but trying to make it out as a mistake. I mean, we don't know. I mean, maybe he's playing games, mental games, because Erin then replies, "I'm not too sure how your dad could have been confused. Seems that my invite tomorrow is a bit of an afterthought and not even from your parents, so I might pass. Thanks." She later messages Simon, "What I reckon is everybody forgot to actually invite me to this thing, and I feel very, very hurt about that." Now, I think she probably would have felt hurt, because don't forget, since she got her inheritance, she's helped out this family a lot as well, hasn't she? He admitted she'd been very generous. So probably then, when they didn't invite her to the birthday party, or didn't forgot till the last minute, she probably was piqued, wasn't she? But was she piqued enough to sort of start plotting revenge? I don't know. Anyway, but then later she messages that she will attend the lunch and she will bring their children. And then the following evening, she sends a message to Simon, "I'm sorry for shouting at you this afternoon. I was feeling very hurt and lashed out. I'd like to not do that again." And Simon says thanks for that, and says he is sorry. He raised his voice and tone too. So they must have had a phone call where they got all a bit stroppy. It all got a bit stroppy. So, yeah, I think probably initially she was hurt that she had not been invited until the last minute. And then she's thought about it afterwards. We all do that, don't we? Well, I certainly do. They say you shouldn't speak don't speak till you put your brain in gear. I'm the world's worst for that. I just blurt something out, and then afterwards I think, oh, I shouldn't really have said that. So, that's quite typical, isn't it? So there is Simon, by the way, that's her estranged husband. There is Erin, I think. I'm not sure when that picture was. So, and then signal messages show a dispute between Simon and Erin over the son's surgery bill. So the court is being shown more messages between Simon and his estranged wife, Erin, between the 21st of November and the 15th of August 2023. So the first message in November 2022, Erin is writing to Simon about their son's surgery and an anaesthetist bill, and she requests that Simon pay the bill. And he replies, "The Department of Human Services instructed me not to pay you anything for the kids from now on, so I cannot pay that, I'm afraid." Wonder why that would have been. I mean, he's supposed to pay for his kids. Doesn't even matter if she's got $1 million, $2 million, $3 million. He's the father of the kids, and he should pay something. But of course, we don't know the background to that. So Erin replied that the payment is not to her, but to the anaesthetist. And Simon says, this is exactly the kind of thing they explicitly instructed me not to pay for. Now, again, I don't know all the background, but this sort of winds me up a bit about him, because if his son's had to have surgery, he should pay half. I don't believe he should pay the whole bill, but he should pay half the bill because it's his son as well. So it doesn't matter how much money Erin's got, he should pay half, shouldn't he? So I'm not sure why they would have said to him, why would the children's services or whatever told him not to pay or anything? Anyway, I don't know. So we don't know the whole do we? We don't know the whole story behind that, but to me, it makes sense to me that he should have paid half of it. Maybe the answer will come later on. So then the next posting, Erin said she was given fentanyl at the hospital. Messages show the court has been shown messages between Erin and Simon on the 31st of July, 2 days after the lethal lunch. At 12:30, Erin messages Simon. They're arguing with me now, saying I may have to go to Dandenong. These Australian names, they do make me laugh, but they're lovely. Dandenong, I suppose they're Aboriginal names. This doctor is not listening to me and being a bit mean about it. And Simon says this related to Erin wanting to be at the same hospital as her children. So at 12:53, she messages Simon, I'm going to Clayton, squeaky wheel. At 1:03 p.m, Simon replies, nice work, we're on our way there too. Now too, the kids are in good spirits. And at 4:03, Erin messages Simon, I feel nauseous and I have a sore tummy, but they've given me ondansetron and saline and fentanyl. Okay. And then it goes on to say that the messages show that Simon wanted a mediator for his and Erin's communication, which I think that's always a good idea, to be honest. The jury's been shown further messages between Simon and Erin. And on the 6th of December, he writes, hello, Erin. Mum and Dad told me you asked them over to yours for a discussion yesterday. I understand there are two main issues. One, how our son is going, and two, finances for our kids. I've read the messages you sent them in our Signal group chat since, and Dad's responses. I'm keen to talk to you about our son and how we can best work together to help him with where he's at now and for the future. I don't know what the surgery was that the son had to have. That might be being kept secret. I'm also keen to talk to you about the financial arrangements to try to come to an understanding and agreement between us. Reading all the messages, the financial issues are very emotive now and would likely be very difficult. 3 days later on, the 9th of December, Simon messages Erin. I've learned more about the financial stuff this week, and I think we can probably fairly easily sort that out along the lines of what you've been messaging to Mum and Dad. I intend to ask a mediator to help you and me communicate about that. And the children cannot be named in media reports for legal reasons, which is fair enough. The only thing I'd like to know is I wonder what problem, why the son had to have surgery. I hope they're okay now. And it's very sad, isn't it? Because the children have lost their grandparents, basically. They've got their dad at least, but they may lose their mum, as far in the sense of her going to prison. There's no reason to think she wasn't a good mum, whatever, if she's guilty in this case or not. There was something else I was going to say now, it's gone out of my head, but yeah. Now, Erin, maybe, because, you know, it seems strange that one minute she's all generous with her money and everything. And now, you know, how has it come to financial issues being emotive now suddenly? But, you know, Erin, I've had an experience recently with somebody like this. Some people are Indian givers. Where, you know, this is an old, it's probably not a woke expression. Shouldn't be saying it, but it was an expression when I was young. An Indian giver would be somebody who would give you something, then take it back off you, or make you feel uncomfortable about it. You know, I've known quite a few in my life. I mean, to me, you give somebody something, or you know, you don't throw it back in their face then. And I don't even mean give somebody money, but maybe you lend them some money. You know, you don't make them feel bad about it afterwards. If you don't, just don't lend it. Otherwise, you know, like. And, you know, I've known people, sometimes that can be a mental illness type thing as well, because it's a control, isn't it? You know, you see that somebody's having a problem, you offer to help them. It might not be money, it could be all sorts of things. And so you help them and they take your help because they're desperate or whatever, or because they've got no option, or they really think, oh, that's so nice, they're offering to help me. And then you soon find out that that help comes with a price. And I say it might not be financial thing. I'm thinking now of quite a few times that people, so it makes you wary of accepting help from people, because there's always a price to pay one way or another for that help. So, and I don't mean just paying the money back, or just, but just like, then they almost think they own you, don't they? Because they've helped you out. It's like, you know, there's a sort of a, you know, just, yeah. It's I think, like with Indian givers, it is control. It's like a control thing. You know, often it's like, oh, I mean, many years ago, I mean, talk about Fruit Loops. I found out that this particular friend was a complete Fruit Loop. And I didn't have a car for a while. And so they offered to lend me one of their cars because they had loads of cars. And I wish I'd you know, in the end, you wish you'd never accepted it. So lend your car, then they want to know where I wouldn't be surprised if it had a bloody tracker on it. You know, because it was like, well, you've lent me a car, but then it was like, oh yeah, can you just pop here for me? Can you just do this? So I've lent you my car, and then they're trying to use you like their own personal taxi service, and then of course you don't feel like you can say no because you're in their car. But you know, you lend someone your car, because of course here in Spain, it's the car that's insured. The car's insured for anyone over 25, so it doesn't cost you any more money in insurance or anything like that. You know, but you lend someone their car, but then it shouldn't be expecting them to go to the shop for you or do things that you want. You know, it's just like, you know, just weird. But that particular person is a real crazy person. In fact, there was much more to it than that about that one. But that was just one thing, one issue. Always trying to find out where I was going and what I was doing in this car. And in the end, I just thought, oh, just take your car and stick it where the sun doesn't shine. So anyway, yeah, there's always problems. When it comes to money, there's always problems. You know, we saw it with the Knezoviches. That, you know, the more I think about that case, such a tragedy. I've got a little update on that I'm going to do at some point. You know, to have all that money, and you could have that lovely life. And then unfortunately, like, the marriage broke down, and then he wanted all the money. So he killed her, and now he's killed himself. So what was the point of it all? What was the point of it all? You know, it just, yeah, you're better off not having anything, and then nobody's going to come to you for things. Anyway, so 3 days later, on the 9th of December, Simon messages Erin, I've learned more about the financial stuff this week, and I think we can probably fairly easily sort that out along the lines of what you've been messaging to Mum and Dad. I intend to ask a mediator to help you and me communicate about that. So yeah, obviously this generosity, maybe Erin was trying to, exercise her control. She was generous. I think he says she was generous. But now he then goes on to say she became extremely aggressive in this dispute over finances. So he says at this point she was being extremely aggressive, and he believed a mediator would help the pair communicate. And Mandy says, Mr. Mandy, the solicitor, says aggressive is not a correct characterization, and he says she was upset. The cross-examination then turns to the disagreement over child support payments. And Simon said the advice from child support authorities was that he would be paying child support and it should not pay Erin additional payments outside of that. And Mr. Mandy said child support payments of $38 a month over a year is something less. $38 a month. $38 a month wouldn't buy my son cereal for a week. Do you know what I mean? What they're talking about? Is that all he was paying? Now, the trouble is that Erin obviously was financially stable, but that doesn't mean to say that Simon shouldn't have paid child support. Those children are his, and he should be. $38 a month doesn't seem like much, does it? I mean, it's better than nothing. There are lots of men out there on foot and women who don't pay anything, so I suppose it's better than nothing, but it's not really a lot of money. So Simon says absolutely, and agreed it would not cover their children's school fees. And he says on this date, he didn't know his required child support payment would only be $38. So I wonder if that's what, if they, I don't know how it works in Australia, but I would imagine they take see what he's earning, take off that's what they normally do, isn't it, with child support? So they see what you're earning, then they take off like what you have to pay for rents, utility bills, etc. And then what's left, you're probably allowed to keep, because you've got to have something for yourself as well, food, etc. And then whatever's left, you're supposed to give the other person for the children, isn't it? And that's how it used to work in the UK. I don't know if it works like that now. But yeah, you should, $38 a month doesn't seem like a lot, does it? But again, I don't know what he does or what income he's got. So that was it. And then the trial was adjourned for the weekend. And the court will finish around 1 p.m. on Friday. So that was Friday. Say yesterday. I always get confused. So today's Friday in Spain. But it's Friday night now, isn't it, in Australia? So Justice Christopher Beale, KC, tells the jurors that over the weekend they may see people who know they are on the jury. So they must be letting them go home, who may be extremely interested to chat to you about the case. And you have to shut that conversation down, he says. I don't know that they should do. I think the jurors should be kept separate, especially in a big case like this, because how could you be sure that they weren't going out and chatting about it? And, because that's human nature. It's not through badness, is it? It'd be very difficult not to. And what they don't want is if this case comes to a conviction, or if it comes to a not guilty verdict, they don't want somewhere down the line the case being thrown out completely and having to do it all again because it turned out that a juror was chatting about the case. So very strange. He said, you've got to ignore. And he reminds the jurors his instructions from earlier about not searching for any information about the case online or in newspapers. Come on, get real. First thing they're going to do when they get home is get on Google. Of course they are. Anyway, you've got to ignore these things, he said. And he tells the jurors to have a good weekend and come back refreshed. I'll only say this to you once. Switch off. just come on, you've got to be realistic with life. You know, they're not gonna go home and not talk about it to anyone, and they're not gonna go home and not Google it, are they? I mean, come on, they're human beings. Good God. Ah. Oh. $5 a week, Bluebell. $5 a week. Anyway. Anyway, so it's all crackers, isn't it? All crackers. But yeah, child custody and child support payments, etc., are always a massive issue, aren't they? I think they're quite often the reason for. I'm not suggesting that any of you should take this as a reason for killing your exes, but you know, they are quite often used as a a motive, aren't they? For Red Rum, either for the financial side of it, or for the fact that people just can't stand to not see their kids, so they don't like the custody, they don't like the sharing custody thing. So it quite often happens, doesn't it? Anyway, so that's the Mushroom Murders Trial 4. Now, what I was trying to decide whether, I don't know whether to go off now and come back and do, because I've got something else I want to tell you that's about Australia. Some news that was coming out of Australia that I thought you might find interesting. And I think, I can't decide. Well, there's quite a few of you, so I expect you'll be interested too. I think what I'm going to do is talk about it. And then I'm going to split it off from this video, because this video really is about the trial. But I'm going to talk about it. Then I'll edit it off and release it as a video in its own right. Or should I finish this live, have a little hour's break to let my voice recover and come back? I think I'm going to do that, actually. I'm going to have a little break because I have to let my voice recover and get organised, get a bathroom break, put a thumbnail together, and I'll be back in about an hour, maybe less than that, with some more Australian news. Oh, Joanne's just found it and I'm just... always happens. Oh, it always happens, does it? Shall I just go into the story then? Shall I just go into the story? No, I'm not. Right, I'm going to go, but I will be back in an hour, okay? So look for the live. Look for the live. And it will be, let's say, so now it's 10:22 Spanish time. So it will be 11:30 Spanish time, which is 10:30 UK time. And I have no clue what time it'll be in Australia. So 1 hour from now, 1 hour, 1 hour from 12:30. Anyway, I'll be back. Yeah, I'm going to go just get sorted, and then I will see you in 1 hour. I've got some interesting news. I think it's very interesting about something that happened last year that we covered. So, right, 7:22, Joanne. So I will be back at 8:30 p.m. Australian time. Don't miss it. Be there or be square. See you later. Adios.